Boom, boom, boom. Welcome to the M&R show. Look, I got a really good guest today. We're here. We're going to talk about Jackson State, Deion Sanders, a lot of college football. Also, it's some NFL going on right now, some great games. I got my guy. I'll bring him up so he can introduce himself.
What's up, everybody?
Yeah, how you doing, man? You can
I'm doing all right. I'm doing all right. My name's Randall.
Yep.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead. You want me to intro myself, or you want to go?
You can go ahead.
Now, my name's Randall Williams. I'm a reporter at Boardroom, and I cover sports business and culture. I've written a bunch on Deion and Jackson State and his time there. So it's come to a sad ending, but what can you do?
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to be talking about the Deion Sanders to Jackson. I mean, like leaving Jackson State. I feel like it's been reported for I'd say like the last a couple months really. I've been hearing like rumors of him leaving. And I've heard Colorado for the last couple of months too, like that specific school. So clearly there's been some early talks. I'm not sure who's leaking the information, but that's kind of how it is with contracts. It could be either side trying to get more money or less money, that type of thing. When it was announced, I think Pete Thamel, I think he broke the news on that early.
Yeah, he broke it a day in advance.
He broke it a day in advance. And I'm like, Pete is he's one of the biggest college football reporters. So I'm like, he probably wouldn't put his name on something if he didn't have a good indication this was going to happen. So, but when I saw it, I was like, oh. And then I saw the backlash coming. And I'm like, oh, I thought people were kind of like happy, like for Deion, oh, he, this is Saban was at LSU and went to Bam. Like people just kind of just move up in the college football ranks. I kind of thought that was what was going on in the first place. But then again, the backlash came. So I just wanted to run it. What did you think about all of that like backlash that came with Deion?
It was unnecessary. I think there's a lot of feelings to be felt around Deion Sanders' departure from Jackson State, but the slander I think is unnecessary. I don't know when he took the job at Jackson State. I never thought that he was going to stay there more than 5 years, even 4, because that's what his original contract was. I mean, his sons were there. And I always thought his sons being there was part of the attachment. I didn't really factor in the transfer portal because, um, I figured if he was going to leave, it would be for a better job than Colorado. That's my thing, I guess. I think and he hasn't been shy about sharing, like, oh, when other schools come calling, I'll 100% have to consider them. And like people are acting surprised, but I think it also comes from the job itself. Like Colorado is no prestige school. Like if you grade, the top tier programs, Colorado is probably a C. And he raised Jackson State to be an A+ HBCU. I feel like if he would have stayed one more year at Jackson State, and then the next coaching cycle comes around after he wins another SWAC championship and probably another Celebration Bowl next season with even better recruits, he probably could have gotten a bigger paycheck than a better school. But I think it's Boulder or Colorado.
Why do you think he left this year? Do you think he's?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. It's something that I've thought about as to like the why behind it. Obviously, there's the Jackson State documentary coming out on Amazon Prime at the end of the month or sometime in December. But I'm not sure. I think there's a lot of factors, and I don't know. I don't know why.
Yeah, it's just tough because I wasn't sure if he was going to leave before his son graduated. Then I thought of the possibility that maybe he wanted his son in a bigger school. Like I mean, you never know what the father is thinking. Like, cause he could be prioritizing his own career. Like, I want to move up to a bigger program. Yes, I want to be in the Pac-12. The Pac-12 kind of needs some type of face with Lincoln Riley and USC and UCLA leaving. They will have Oregon there. I mean, Utah's clearly pretty good. They beat USC, but they are going to need a faces there as well. So I'm like, okay, maybe he can try to be a bigger face in the Pac-12, a conference that needs somebody.
In some ways, but to me, the Pac-12 is a dying football conference. Basketball, I think, in any given year depends on basketball. As it comes to his son, Shedeur Sanders is a first-round draft pick, no matter what school he plays at.
He's a first-round pick.
Yes, Shedeur is like that. I think you grade all the quarterbacks this year. Shedeur is top 5. I think he's better than I can't remember the guy's name. I think he plays at Kentucky. He
Yeah,
plays
Will
for a blue
Levis.
school.
Will
What'd you say?
Levis.
He's
Will
better
Levis.
than Will Levis, 100%. The only two quarterbacks that I think he's not outright better than are Bryce Young and Caleb Williams. That's it. Um,
Oh wow, yeah,
and I think from the FCS standpoint, we've seen guys come in from the FCS level and ball in the NFL. Like before Carson Wentz had the injury, he was balling. Trey Lance obviously got injured, but we've seen guys step in and be able to do this before. And besides, I don't think scouts are looking at the level of competition as much as they're looking at, the mechanics, the intangibles, things. And Shador has all of that.
yeah,
So I don't know. I don't know if that factored into it.
yeah. It's that because I'm just like, because I like you said, I think he's going to be drafted. He was Offensive Player of the Year in this conference, but I'm like, what? I wonder what scouts are just going to hold that against him and how high he was drafted. Because you're right, he probably has first round talent. You got the height, you got the speed, we got the arm talent. Now it's just like, do we believe? It's the Trey Lance factor. Like some scouts were him as a first round pick, and some scouts had him as a fourth round pick. It's based on where he played. Like we clearly see he ended up going in the first round because all it takes is one guy to believe in you. That's all it takes. But it can be, I guess a range based on what scouts are valuing in that way.
I mean, I'm interested to see how HBCU prospects are drafted this year as well. There was a couple HBCU prospects drafted last year, not as many as Deion would have liked. Not as many as anybody would have liked. I think there has been an increase in recognition and awareness, and he has brought the overall HBCU culture up 100%. So that's why, to me, I feel like the hate is unnecessary. Now, granted, like if you want to say that 2 years isn't enough time for him to have the impact that he said he was going to have, I think that's fair criticism. But I
Yeah.
mean, he had Jackson State and multiple HBCUs on ESPN2. I
Yeah.
don't know that that's ever happened before he got there, and he just raised the level of HBCUs in general. So, I think the hate's unnecessary.
Yeah. It with Deion specifically, for one, going to Jackson State, I didn't even know. First, I didn't know he wanted to be a coach. Then I know he went on NFL Network. He said like, "Hey, like I like what I'm doing here with his primetime show, but I want to be a coach one day." He kind of was throwing those tidbits out there. I think 2 years before he even took the job, when Shannon Sharp used to come on the show. Then he became the head coach of Jackson State. Then he got both of his sons to transfer there. Then he started getting more and more prospects each year that he was there. Then he started bringing more awareness to the program. Like at the end of the day, I'm going to be completely honest. Even as a black man, I never heard of Jackson State before. Like I knew about certain HBCUs that are the Morehouse, Howard, the HBCUs that normally get the funding from other people of color and of non-color. Those HBCUs that I was just familiar with being from DC. So not only did he just bring awareness even to people of color like myself, he brought it even to the ESPN level, like you said, which I think is extremely impressive. I then, with Travis Hunter, a 5-star prospect. I don't know what's going to happen with Travis Hunter. I'm not sure if he stays there. Maybe he just like loves the school that much, but it's just going to be interesting because at the end of the day, he came to play for Deion. He came for the school. He said he loved the school and everything. He loved the culture. He came on homecoming weekend. But at the end of the day, it's like with Lincoln Riley and Caleb Williams, you came for the coach, though. No matter how much you love Oklahoma, you came for your guy. So
100%, 100%. I mean, that's the bad thing about him leaving, though. Is
yeah,
like when he leaves, he's going to be leaving with at minimum probably 5 to 10 guys from Jackson State, and so as many resources as he brought to that school, they're now going to be leaving, and it's just a tough thing to see for Jackson State, who's received a lot of funding, a lot of just overall spotlighting, and they hadn't received that before. So to see all of them go is going to be tough.
yeah, and then so like I think I was talking to like a family member in like politics before this, and I was like, in any other job, it's like acceptable to like leave your job and like quote unquote upgrade your position, quote unquote. But I feel like in this situation, people kind of were like upset that Deion like left. Well, poor people call him, let's be honest, people just called him a coon, say he shouldn't have left, which I just thought was just uncalled for. Because, like, for one, I think people's biggest problem was that he was saying, like, hey, I want to bring awareness to HBCUs. I want to do this for HBCUs, and then he left. Yes, but for one, just looking at this from the outside in as a business standpoint, like, what was he supposed to say? One, I think that was first is just good marketing of his program and himself. Two, he probably meant that. He did mean that, but at the end of the day,
No,
like,
he was 100%
you want what's best for you too,
authentic.
though.
He
Yeah,
was 100% authentic, but with it's like you said, with the promotion that he gave Jackson State and everything that he did while he was there, uplifting the program, I think in some ways people built him up to be in some ways like an HBCU football messiah.
yeah,
And I don't and look, there's two sides to that. I think in some ways he did that by himself by uplifting his program. But when you see the type of success that he has and the atmosphere that he brought, bringing Jackson State to college game day and stuff like that, people I definitely think were like, oh, he's going to be here forever. That's not the case. There's too much money in the Power Five conferences. But again, like it goes back to what I said before, the Colorado job was not the one that I expected him to take because
yeah,
there's better schools out there between, talking about a Pac-12 conference that's going to see two of its biggest programs leave, and the ACC. I mean, I think his dream job would probably to be a coach at Florida State, but Florida State is a sustainable program right now, and the SEC is changing. I mean, that we're going to be in a super conference era pretty soon, and the Pac-12 is not a part of that. So. If it was going to be Cincinnati, I 100% get it. I get it.
I'm
Cincinnati
surprised
is.
it wasn't Cincinnati though.
I was shocked. I was telling people in my office that if I was a betting man, it was going to be Cincinnati
I'm like,
because of his roots there, everything like that, and
yeah.
I was just shocked.
For one, that's just a better program. Like it's just been the better program last decade, I would say. Like it's been a really good program, and the coach they hired, maybe he never got the offer there. Maybe that's just something I just don't know. Like I'm not sure.
I don't know. More questions as
Yeah,
time goes on, more things will be revealed. Definitely before the year and into the new year. He's definitely going to speak about it. I think there'll probably be some pressure on his documentary where you can't dodge all of those questions because then it does look inauthentic. If he comes to the podium for the reporters that he'll eventually be speaking with before the Celebration Bowl, after the Celebration Bowl, and then ahead of the documentary, and he doesn't answer a thing, then people are going to have a field day. But if he stands up there and he's always answered questions. I think truly now, obviously, I don't think coaches can say everything that they want to or say everything that people want them to. And there's no answer that he's going to be able to give everyone that's going to please people. That's
exactly.
something that everyone's got to understand. Like if he says, this is what I wanted to do, then people are going to be like, oh, you don't want to raise Jackson State. If he says they paid me more money, then it's like, oh, you weren't really doing this for you weren't really doing this for Jackson State. You were in this for the money. So like he's in a lose-lose
Yeah,
situation.
lose
No matter
lose.
what answer he says, people are going to find criticism, and he knows that too. Like I said, my own thing is like Colorado is not a good college football program. Will he be able to raise it up? Absolutely. But what is the cost going to be? Shador has one more year of college football eligibility, or 2 more years of college football eligibility, maybe 3. But he's going to go to the NFL after this season if all goes well. And I'm sure Shiloh will too. And when your sons aren't there, then what? Like, how long do you want to stay in? I think Colorado's based in Boulder. Like,
Older.
would you rather be in Boulder or Cincinnati? Obviously, in my opinion, Cincinnati. So maybe he knows something about that city that we don't.
But my thing is, Colorado doesn't even have pedigree. Like I'm not even being funny. Like I was really trying to I wanted to not look it up and think, who the heck do I know that went to Colorado? I think if I'm not mistaken, Chidobe Awuzie, I think it was a Dallas Cowboy. If I'm not mistaken, he went to Colorado. And then there's Joe Klatt on Fox Sports, who I love. But like and I only know Joe Klatt went there because he's on Fox Sports. So, people are saying Boulder is a great place, though. They said we're slandering Boulder. Boulder, Colorado is a good place. But in Cincinnati, I get the rain, the weather. Overall, Cincinnati was a better program. But on the Jackson State note as well, I would personally consider his tenure a success, though, at the school. Like I don't know what people's expectations were, but I would consider
100%.
That was a success story, though.
I think he's lost 5 games in 3 years. He's lost 2 in the last 2 seasons. To call it anything else but a success would be stupid. downright stupid. Like there's a lot of, like I said, you can have gripes with a bunch of things, but um, none of them should involve like the success that he had at Jackson State. Now, I'm sure like within the documentary that comes out at the end of the year, people will see like the differences in programs from the things that he had to raise. Like Deion Sanders gave half his salary this season to try to rebuild the facilities
Exactly.
at Jackson State. This man, like the
He
sellout
gave it
talk
his
and all the
all.
other, yeah, like it's dumb. Like, and the people that are saying that, like I said, I think they built him up to be something that he wasn't.
Yeah, and I agree, Bo. I agree with your comment. I'm interested to see how his first recruiting class stacks up. Now,
I
one
am
thing
too.
he has a little time though when you're the transfer portal, and I don't know, but I really, truthfully, is feeling my heart. People I want to play for Deion. I really do.
You said you think they are
Yeah, I think people like he gives like what is it like
100%. But here's the thing. Like I think people will want to play for Deion, but will people want to go to Boulder, Colorado? Like we're
yeah
not talking about Cincinnati, and we're not talking about Jackson, Mississippi. Like these are warm places. And granted, like Jackson, Mississippi isn't the greatest city in the world, and neither is Boulder, and neither is Cincinnati. No city
yeah
is perfect. But if you're talking about a recruit coming to, you know, the schools that he was offered or the schools that were interested in him were like Cincinnati, Colorado, and then there was one more. I think it was USF, University of South Florida. Like
Florida.
it's a lot to me if I'm a recruit outside of going to play for Coach Prime, and you're talking about college life, dorm life, whatever, the city that you're in. I think those other two schools have a better atmosphere. And I'm not trying to shit on Colorado or anything, but
No,
like,
I really
you
want the
know,
Falcons to be real. Florida State is perfect, but they have a good program right now. They're actually on the come up, and the coach there is pretty good. I don't think he's getting fired anytime soon. Like the program has gotten better after Jimbo left. It kind of went downhill, so they're actually starting to get a little better. They're not like where they probably want to be, but I don't think the coach is going. He's not getting fired this year. He's probably not getting fired next year.
even
So
Jimbo isn't where he want to be. I mean, the thing
yeah,
is, like with
Jimbo's not
any of
messing.
those jobs, like the way coaching buyouts work now, if you get fired, you're almost guaranteed, depending on the contract. We've seen people get paid $50 million to exit the door. Like, can you imagine like your job coming and be like, "Yo, no things ain't really working out, but we're gonna pay you to leave."
Ed
You will
Ogeron.
never see me pack up my bags quicker if someone offers me a $30 million check. I will leave that office spotless. And so, like,
I'm
it's one
kissing
of these
babies
things.
goodbye. Like
Oh,
hey, thank you,
100%. I'm gonna
thank
be
you.
dapping up everybody. I'm gonna be dapping up the coaches I ain't even rock with like that. Like payouts are a serious, serious thing. So if I think some of the criticism comes from people who may not fully understand college football and the business of college football, or maybe the different things that HBCUs go through. Like,
Yeah.
and I think Deion's battle, like the battle to get HBCUs to a level playing field with FCS schools. Not, I don't know that HBCUs will ever be on an FBS level, but just to get them on an even playing field of FCS schools, that was a big, big battle. 2 years is not long enough to do that one. It's not.
No, it's not.
I think 4 players getting drafted from HBCUs is great, but if it doesn't double to 8 this year with I think 2 different HBCU events, the HBCU Combine, I think there's the HBCU Legacy Bowl, and maybe one other one that Patrick Mahomes is a part of. I think that's the one by the Black College Football Hall of Fame. If that doesn't do it, then like it goes to show how big the battle is to get HBCU players drafted, which is ultimately how
Let's go.
Deion Sanders wins. Like that's how you win as an HBCU coach, is by getting your players drafted at the end of the day. And so I think it would have been a better look for him to finish at Jackson State, get Shador Sanders to be a first round draft pick, continue
Yeah.
to get these NIL deals, make Shiloh. I don't know where Shiloh Sanders in the draft boards right now because he's been injured,
Yeah.
but you have your sons there. They're going to be going to the NFL. Then head out. That makes a lot more sense if you're like, oh, my
I
son's
thought that's what he
leaving.
would do though. I thought that's why he
That's
would
what I
say
was thinking.
he would
People
let
can
him
scour my tweet.
graduate and then he would leave. That was
Right.
I just thought that seemed
And his
damn near
daughter goes
movie.
there too. Like people forget his daughter also is playing for the women's Jackson State basketball team.
I forgot about
And
that.
so like he has his kids are there.
Yes,
And
ties
granted, like
there.
the transfer portal, and he said in a press conference today that Shador Sanders he was always going to leave. But again, like I think Colorado it couldn't have been the best job on the market between this season and next season. Now we'll never know what jobs are on the market until next year's college football season ends. But let's just say Florida opens up.
Oh God.
Then there's
Mike.
no better script that Deion can write than by going to Florida and saying, like, Florida State didn't hire me X amount of years ago. Now I'm at the rival and I'm killing y'all.
I'm
Like,
killing it.
it's one of those things. I just don't think the Colorado job is as good. But who knows? Who knows? We'll have to see where it ends up next season and years after that, because I think this next season, like you said, we're still gonna have to see where the recruiting things ends up, and we're gonna
100%.
have to see how they play. Because like he could shut everybody up if Colorado goes there and like is 11-0. But
Pac-12
that
isn't a
first,
cakewalk right now, though. Utah's
what'd
a
you
good
say?
team. I think Pac-12's not a cakewalk. Utah's good. UCLA's good. USC's good.
When
Oregon's
do I don't remember when USC and UCLA leave for the Big Ten.
like it's
Um,
2025. I'll look it up while you're talking. I think
I
it's
don't know. All of that stuff is changing so quick. They just expanded the college football playoff like to next season now, so it's all moving so quickly. But again, like the college football playoff committee, if it happens next season, then Colorado does really well. Then there's an opportunity for him to get into a 12-team college football playoff. There's
yeah.
no chance. There's absolutely no chance to get into a 14 one.
Oh no. And the USC and UCLA are leaving in 2020, the 2024-2025 season. So not next year, the year after that. So this will be a dogfight next year. Like, I mean, I'm sorry, the Pac-12, like we clowned it for years, but this year, even though I don't think they won't have probably a team in the top 4, but it's because they kind of were beating each other up. The reason why USC is
Yeah,
playoff right now, they couldn't beat their demon Utah. This is the 49ers Rams, like one team just always wins. Like, it's just like Cardinals 49, like it's like the NFC West, like literally.
100%.
So it's just like the reason why a team's not in there. Like Oregon's a good team. They did get beat by Georgia. We saw that. But overall, Oregon was a good team this year. So it's going to be hard for Deion to win year 1. But okay, I want to ask you that question. Somebody put in the comments. You see this is on the screen.
Do you
Do you
think Deion can win at Colorado? 100%. But again, I think it goes back to what is it going to look like when Shador is not there? He is guaranteed a top 5 college football quarterback next season. And when you have a really, really good quarterback, that changes things. That quarterback now becomes a recruiting tool for you. You can say, hey, when if you're being recruited, you to go play at Alabama or a Clemson,
Yep.
you want to play with Bryce Young. You want to play with Caleb Williams. Like, do you think Caleb Williams is good this season? Wait until next season when him and Lincoln Riley go to the recruiting base and be like, yo, we couldn't beat Utah, but like, look at our squad. We got the best quarterback in the nation. And so I think he can, but I'm not really as interested in this upcoming season. I'm interested in the years to come.
Yeah,
Because again, like Alabama, LSU, you name all the upper echelon college football programs out there, they're still going to be recruiting powerhouses too. Like, and one season with Shador is not going to magically change Colorado. He's going to have to continue to recruit quarterbacks and all these other guys. And he proved that he could do that at Jackson State. And if he can do it at Jackson State, he can damn sure do it at Colorado. But again, I would like to see how long this lasts, because he had a lot of success at Jackson State, and it's better to leave when you're on top than it is when things are crumbling down. But I think he's guaranteed success when that first year. But let's watch for year 2 and year 3 and see how things end up.
I'm really interested to see what can happen, because we know by year 2 or 3, if he has his recruiting classes there, his sons are now gone. USC and UCLA are gone. The Pac-12 most likely will be between like a Utah and an Oregon and them. So if he can get the recruiting class, he has a chance to contend for a Pac-12 championship. Now, I don't think this team is probably like, I don't have them in the next 2 or 3 years. Like, they shouldn't. I would be shocked if they were in the playoff. Even the 12 format in the next 2 or 3 years, I'd still be kind of shocked, just because the talent isn't there right now. Now, he can hit the portal and go stupid.
But we'll have to see based on. I mean, I think based on this season and next. Again, it's difficult to judge how great Colorado and Coach Prime can be because of the fact that his sons are there. Shador is a dog. Like,
Facts.
people, I think You see his highlights sometimes on ESPN. Shador would be he is a top 5 quarterback in college football. I'm 100% comfortable saying that. I think, Bryce Young, Caleb Williams, and then you throw anybody else in there, but Shador's in there too. And so when you have a quarterback as good as Shador is, you can be a powerhouse quicker. But
yeah, look at USC, like you said, with Caleb, USC was 4-8 before Lincoln. I mean, they did recruit really well. They got Addison and Mario Williams and a lot of other guys.
100%,
Caleb Williams.
100%. But like the thing is, Shador, I would be shocked if Deion is able to convince his son to stay a senior year at Colorado because of the fact that it's too much money. Like Shador, his first season at Jackson State, he was pretty good. This season, he's been balling. Like, and there's probably going to be some critiques, but like, this is the same guy. He's tight with Tom Brady. Like they be putting in time together off the field to learn and do all these different things, and that's a privilege that a lot of college football quarterbacks don't have. And so, I think Shador leaves next season, and then things get really, really interesting. It's a lot easier when Shador was a 4-star quarterback out of high school, I believe. Yep. It's a lot easier to do really, 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 really well with the star quarterback.
Yep.
And so we'll see.
And then, okay, I think this was you're dropping crazy comments that I think are amazing. Like, I agree. I think he can get good recruits too. And I forgot about this. I forget why, but for some job, I was looking at like best quote unquote like college atmospheres that kids, and this is mostly, non-people of color voting on these type of things. But regardless, what has been said is that I actually, you're right. I definitely saw that Colorado Boulder campus was ranked top 10 in quote unquote best campus atmospheres. I don't know if that helps you get recruits, but
I don't think it's going to compare to what he did at Jackson State.
That's just an interesting little tidbit. Like, is that going to matter? Like, because are there good high school prospects in the state? Like, I'm not even sure. Like, he recruit?
He's not going. I don't think he's going to recruit in state as much. I think he'll be recruiting out of state. But again, like, I think the atmosphere is great, but it would take him going to a real grade A college football program to have anything close to the power and the atmosphere that he had at Jackson State. He had Jackson, Mississippi rocking at every single home game, especially when they're winning the way that they are. Jackson State is not a legacy HBCU football program. Granted, I think they have four NFL Hall of Famers in the Hall of Fame, but like they're not Grambling or Southern, who have a bunch of different players in the NFL. And so he owned that city. At Boulder, it's the atmosphere will be great, but again, he'll have to upset some folks in terms of like the teams that he plays, and he'll have to win right away to gain that. Because like it's great, he is 100% the biggest marketing head coach ever. Like in terms of the atmosphere that he brings, the quotes that he brings in the press conference, the way that he interacts with his players, I think he's probably second to none.
Yeah.
But at Power 5 schools, it's a little different. And when there's different donors involved, like when he's not going to have to give up half his he's not going to have to give up half his salary because they'll rebuild it before his contract is up. Like that's how it works in college football. When you make as much money, they need something to spend it on, and they just start rebuilding locker rooms and equipment rooms. So we'll see.
And that's a very good segue to the donors, because I haven't heard, like, there's no Colorado star athlete that's killed an NIL deal. Like maybe there's some in the tidbits that I just like the smaller deals, because a lot of athletes are getting deals that just aren't publicized, but they're still getting some type of NIL deal. But now that Deion is there, and if the donors are quote unquote serious about wanting this program to be a good program, then what are the donors willing to do to start getting those top recruits? That is going to be interesting in the transfer portal.
Definitely. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what he's able to do with the Colorado roster. He did a lot for some of those kids at Jackson State in terms of NIL deals. There's a lot of people who walked away with money, and I think NIL money in the eyes of some people they don't understand that, like, not everybody is getting paid Shador dollars or Travis Hunter dollars. Like, NIL money can be anywhere from $1,000 to $5,000, and that can make all the difference in that person's life. And so we'll have to see. We'll have to see what type of NIL deals, because when July 1st, 2021 hit, he was not shy about sharing all the NIL deals that he had at Jackson State, whether it be, I think it was the offensive or defensive lineman with the hair care, and then he had the Michael Strahan suit line, and then obviously Shador is the most he still has one more game left. He's the most decorated HBCU athlete there is in terms of NIL deals. So it'll be interesting to see what he's able to get for some of these Colorado athletes because they go hand in hand with star power. And
Yeah.
Jackson State, while he was there, was the #1 HBCU in college football. It's very easy for some of these brands to be like, oh, that's Jackson State. They killing it. Yeah, we'll talk to Kevin Coleman. I don't know Kevin Coleman's the wide receiver at Jackson State's NIL figures or anything like that. But I'm just speaking theoretically, like, it's very easy for a brand to jump on board with a winning program. At Colorado, things might be a little different. A lot isn't proven just yet. So if he starts to win, yeah, those kids will 100% have money in their pocket. But I don't think just because Coach Prime steps on campus that brands are going to be like, yep, let's do it. No, you got to win to get some of that money.
It's not New York. But yeah, okay. So right now we got 46 people in the live. Again, thank you all. Make sure you're subscribing, and share to everybody. We're gonna try to hit close to 100 in the live while we're going. So again, appreciate everybody. Make sure you're subscribing, sharing, and liking the video, and drop in the comments. We're gonna post all you all's comments. Now, we're gonna move on to NFL games today. I know you probably saw in the background the Bengals just clutched this win against the Chiefs.
Yeah, man, they beat my boy Mahomes.
And
my dog Mahomes.
That minus 2.5 was juicy. Like everyone was like, minus 2.5 for the Chiefs. Like the Chiefs are a good team, yeah. And that's a low number for Mahomes. But he's on the road, one. And sometimes the team, it doesn't matter. Like sometimes a team just has your number. It doesn't matter about the talent. It's just like a team can just beat you at a given time. It's just kind of how it works in the league sometimes. Doesn't mean you're like I know from experience as being a Cowboys fan. Like we lost the Green Bay.
Oh man, I'm damn.
Like the Green Bay
Cowboys fan, come on, bro.
Hey, come on.
I'm about to get off this thing right now. Cowboys fan.
Fan. The reason why I bring this up,
love for no Cowboys fan.
The reason why I bring this up is because of the Packers. Like we played the Packers here.
No, I can't beat Aaron Rodgers to save y'all life.
Rodgers. It's like it's not about if the Packers are this a good team or they bad.
How are you from DC and a Cowboys fan?
Okay. For one,
I'm sorry.
Like it's crazy. Well, first, okay, let's start. My dad's a Cowboys fan, so it's not like I was like, live with my dad. He's a Cowboys fan. Like it was like, oh, he's
passed
cool.
Down the curse.
Yeah, it's just like no, he passed.
The sins of the father have been passed down to the son.
Yeah. So sadly, I'll probably do the same whenever I have my kid. Like, hey, you know what? When I have my kid, I'm not even gonna say anything. I'm just gonna let him see.
Free your kids. Free your kids from them shackles that your dad passed on to you, dog. Free your kids.
So I'm just gonna let him watch. And if he tell me like, "Hey, Dad, what team you like?" I'm like, "I like the Cowboys." Tell me you have to like them. But if you want to, I'd be happy because it's like being like all these Knicks fans for like your great grandfather was a Knicks fan. Like this is past trauma. Like you've only seen it's only been one Walt Frazier, one Ewing. Like it's just been passed down trauma for the years of Knicks fans. So. And but at the end of the day, me and my dad, we bond over the trauma. So in that way, it's been fun. But again,
that's cool and all. It's cool to bond over trauma if you fixing a problem. But the thing is, y'all can't fix what's going on over there in Dallas. The Bengals haven't missed a beat with mixing out, bro. What's the name? Joe Burrow and Patrick Mahomes are destined to go at this forever.
Ever.
And I think the AFC is loaded with talent, but. There are 4 guys that I think will be in AFC championship games for years to come. And as of right now, it's Mahomes, Allen, Burrow, and Jackson. That's it.
Yeah.
They're going to beat each other up for years to come. And it's going to be a matchup game. And I think
he's a Baltimore.
I think you can't, and people are going to say, oh, what about Justin Herbert? Justin Herbert hasn't been to the playoffs. So, like, I'm not throwing nobody who hasn't had a playoff debut in there just yet. And there's other young quarterbacks around. But Burrow, he just has that gene, and his receivers those guys are just dogs. Like
Higgins
different.
I mean, because we know Chase,
all of them.
Chase is him. We like Chase is Himothy Turner, all the words. But T. Higgins is a 1. Just he's a 2.
The Bengals got to win this year. The Bengals, I think, have to win the Super Bowl this year because there's a lot going on with the NFL in terms of contract. Obviously, the NFLPA, I think, filed some sort of notion. I don't want to get too caught up in the words, but they filed a notion to basically alleging that the owners are colluding to not give players guaranteed contracts, and that has a big
Yes.
effect on free agents because I believe this is Joe Burrow's third year. He's eligible for a contract extension. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, even Trevor Lawrence and some of these other guys, like if Lamar is able to get a fully guaranteed contract, that changes the course of NFL history in terms of how these contracts are negotiated. Because if Lamar Jackson gets one, Joe Burrow will 100% get one and more. Because Lamar Jackson, as much as I love the guy, he's 1-3 in the playoffs. Joe Burrow is 3-1, just went to the Super Bowl. He's going to get a guaranteed contract if Lamar gets one. So if that I don't know how much they'll be able to prove, but the contract situation, and so let's just assume that Burrow gets extended this offseason.
Yeah.
T. Higgins is also going to be eligible for an extension as well. And then Jamar Chase is his second year. So at the end of next season, I think Tyler Boyd is probably going to have to go.
But he's the one that I think we all know is going to have to go. And
100%.
I like Mixon, but we see today. So I just want to say the numbers so people understand why I'm just throwing it out there. Samaje Perine, 21 rushes for 106 yards, 5 yards a carry. Samaje Perine was cut from the Washington Redskins at the time, now Commanders. He was cut off the team, not because he's a bad player, it's because they had other guys there. The point I'm trying to make is not that he's a bad player; it's the fact that if you have a scheme like that where you can throw the ball that well, it kind of doesn't even matter who's your running back. Can he make?
Yeah, the running back market has changed. You're seeing more teams implement 2 to 3 running backs. I mean, look at the game today with the Chiefs. The Chiefs, Pacheco is a dog, but you see McKinnon in the red zone. You see Pacheco returning kicks. They have Ronald Jones and then Clyde Edwards-Helaire, and that's just the Chiefs. We've seen the Steelers the past 2 weeks use Benny Snell and Najee Harris, and so more teams are definitely adopting the 2 or 3 running back room model. It's just about how much are you willing to pay these guys. Like when
and Pollard, I love Zeke.
Yeah, Tony Pollard. Yeah, Tony
he's saving Zeke's career right now. Like Zeke might actually go.
Did you say saving his career?
I mean, like
he's endangering his career. I think
like his knees were gonna combust. Like it just.
I think he's endangering. I mean, it depends on how the Cowboys want to scheme around the two of them. Because if I'm not mistaken, I think Zeke has a $90 million deal, and half of it. I mean, yeah, that's a perfect example is the Ravens. The Ravens have probably 6 running backs in the past couple of years with the injuries that they had last season.
Guaranteed.
But going back to the Cowboys, like it all depends on like, do you restructure Zeke's deal? Because the Cowboys look better when Pollard is in the backfield. Anybody who's watched the Cowboys knows that. But Jerry Jones, when he starts getting involved in some of the decision making in terms of who's playing, then things get iffy. Because Pollard could go to a bunch of teams and start. Can you imagine like Tony Pollard on the Rams? The Rams right now, like he'd be a dog on the Rams.
49ers, any zone run scheme, he'd be
I mean, the 49ers now have run CMC, but I mean, there's a bunch of places he can go, but it's about the system in place of which the teams are going to try to implement. If they do things where it's 2 to 3 running backs, then he should probably stay in Dallas for the right price tag. But if he's trying to be a running back number 1, then there's a good chance he's out of there.
And then Chargers Raiders. Now for everyone who's watching doesn't even know, Chargers lost today. And they had to win this game. The Chargers always lose we have to win this game. Well, 90% of the time, the Chargers lose that. We have to win this game.
I think it's a coaching. They have some real troubles. I mean, I didn't watch the game, so I can't tell you. I'm not going to sit here and tell you this and that. Yeah. But like, obviously, the Chargers have had the biggest injury bug in football this season. But they have very much kept their season alive. And the Raiders have found a second life as well. But I don't know what's going on over there in LA, man. They can't figure it out. I think when you have a quarterback talent as good as Justin Herbert, you have Austin Eckler, Mike Williams. I don't know if Mike Williams played today because he tweaked his toe. But Keenan Allen, like all these different guys out there, you have got to figure it out. Because it's getting to a point now where Brandon Staley is going to be on the hot seat next season if he can't get it
this year. Yeah, I mean,
he's not going to lose his job this season because he can go back and say, his first year he had rookie head coaching roles. His second year he caught the injury bug. Okay,
Yeah,
this third season, you better make it to at minimum the divisional playoffs because like that LA is not a football town. Even with the Rams winning, like that stadium be full of opposing fans. And so you have to win the city over. And
yeah.
the Chargers aren't doing that right now, even with the superstar quarterback.
And let's just be real. The offensive coordinator is just not. He's not an offensive coordinator. I mean, like we always used to say, like unleash. What was it? Let Russ cook. Like we gotta let Herbert cook. Like the. I mean, okay, I get it. They don't have a deep threat to really stretch the field, and Mike Williams is out, so it's even
Man, I don't
harder.
want to hear none of that. I don't want to hear none of that.
Gotta take shots.
You have Justin Herbert under
Special.
center. He is your deep threat. Like that, it doesn't matter. Like Justin Herbert, he threw a pass, I think it was last season, and he's throwing some bombs this year
Oh, this
too,
year
where
he's
like
on a crazy
his
pass.
arm strength is ridiculous. So I don't, and he has probably a top 5 or 6 receiving core in the league when healthy. At that point, you
Yeah.
plug and play. Like we're talking about the Chargers. I'm pretty sure everyone on this live would agree that the Chargers receiving core is better than the Chiefs in terms of pound per pound talent. The Chargers is
Yeah,
better
I
than the
mean, they have
Chiefs,
guys. Chiefs,
but
Juju. Yeah.
Mahomes makes those receivers, I think, in some ways better than what they are. Like you at any, and even he came out and said before the season, like it's not just going to be Kelsey and Hill this year.
Right.
You never know who's going to be catching the ball. That's the epitome of a great quarterback. And so when you have Justin Herbert under center, I don't care who the receivers are. Get it done because he's good enough. Like we've seen the talent there. Now it's about the scheme. And like I said, I'd have to watch or
Yeah,
some
the
of the
game.
highlights from this past game to see how he played because he's not without fault too. But it's difficult as a quarterback when the atmosphere around you is a hurricane and you're the only thing that's supposed to stand solid. It's a difficult thing to do. And he has a franchise on his back right now, and it's a little too heavy.
Okay. Then another game I thought was interesting. I was watching this. I just got back in the house, which was Dolphins 49ers. And Tua,
Who won that game?
the 49ers won it 33-17. And
It's
Tua
tough.
really struggled. I would say throughout the whole game. Kind of got a little hotter in the fourth quarter. But overall, this just was a bad Tua game. And Tua, we all know, if you don't know, Tua's been number one in EPA per play this season. Like over Mahomes, Burrow, all the guys. Like, he's been a dude this year. He's been extremely accurate. We all know he has the arm strength problems, but like that's here nor there. Regardless, 54% completion percentage this game, 2 touchdowns, but 2 picks, and they weren't like receiver picks. They were like you're just throwing a bad pass, interception. The running game, Jeff Wilson Jr., 1 rush. Sadly, he was on my fantasy team, and sadly, I started him. So that just wasn't. He was in the flex. it just hurt, and I think I'm gonna say he got injured because I'm pissed. I'm gonna say it right now.
He didn't. He did or didn't get injured.
I have to assume for my own mental health that he had to get hurt because 1 rush for 3 yards is not gonna get it done.
One of my boys got him on his team. Let me check.
Like 1 rush for 3 yards.
Nah, don't look like he was injured, my boy.
They just phased him out. Like a great player phased out the game. They only ran the ball 8 times a day, and I'm not even a big run guy. I swear, but bro, 8 rushes.
Hey man, I'm gonna keep it a beam. Ever since the 49ers got 44 put on the dome by Mahomes and the Chiefs, they've been acting different. So they've been letting their nuts hang a little bit. Like they've been dragging them all over the place, and rightfully so. Like 40.
Jimmy G got hurt first. Jimmy G was out.
Yeah, and that's a testament to. I mean, I think the Dolphins' defense is okay, but they're built to play behind the offense. This isn't. The 49ers can do both, I think. They can. The offense can play behind the defense can play behind the offense. I don't think the Dolphins are built like that. If the Dolphins are built to last, like they're very much like the Chiefs. The Chiefs' defense, I don't think is very good. They're a bend, don't break. Like I think I said this in a group chat today.
We have breaking news. We have Kyle Shanahan says Jimmy Garoppolo has a season-ending foot injury. We have
no way.
Matt Burrows tweeted this. He covered the 49ers for The Athletic. This is a reporter that I don't know him personally, but seems pretty credible for he tweets. And he's at the press conference. He says, Kyle Shanahan says Jimmy Garoppolo has a season-ending foot injury. He did look bad. I didn't think it was season-ending. If he's out for the season.
Oh, they said he broke his foot. They said he broke his foot. Oh, it's wraps for the 49ers.
Oh, it's wraps then. Like,
it's wraps.
And damn, Jimmy G. Porn star Jimmy. He just can't get it right. Like, even when he's imagine in a season, you're
hey man, there's 3 teams left in the NFC now.
Like, Now, just not to be that guy right now, but to be a toxic Cowboys fan. But this does help the Cowboys. It
Oh,
does.
100%.
This is a team
The
that
three teams left are the Eagles, the Cowboys, and the Vikings. Everybody else is out. That's it.
This makes it interesting. And think about this: the Seahawks are. Let me see the Seahawks win.
Did the Seahawks win?
We are in the same accord. I have to check now. The Seahawks. Let me see the Seahawks. They
did win. They did win. Barely.
That's kind of sad. But Kenneth Walker got hurt though in the first quarter. To be fair, and Geno Smith is balling. But
now Geno Smith need his money. I need Geno Smith to get a 4-year, 140 M's.
Yeah,
100 guaranteed. He need his bread.
Is that Ryan Tannehill deal? Or no, better than that.
He need more than that. Geno Smith, like, he's quarterbacking. He's not game managing. If you are, like, there's a big difference.
Right.
Ryan Tannehill is game managing. And they took that for granted because I think the Titans, and we're going all over the place at this point, but
yeah,
you said the Cowboys, Eagles, Vikings, Bucks the Bucks out of there, man. I think the Bucks is out of there.
I just don't feel like I don't want to put that thing out there that the Bucks are done just because Brady's in the team.
Look, I will keep it at being. Tom Brady is the number one player. I'll go on record so they can play this wherever I end up in 20, 30 years. I will stand by what I'm about to say. Tom Brady is the number one player in sports that I root against in my life. Like, I don't think there will ever be a player that I root against more. It's Tom Brady and then the Patriots. The two have caused me so much pain over the course of my life in terms of seeing them win. Like, I say all that to say, I don't think. Who you're a fan of again?
I think I know. What's your team again?
If I had to choose a team, Mahomes is my guy, so I would say the Chiefs. But generally, I don't root for teams because it's too difficult to stand by some of the decisions that teams make in terms of how they treat different people.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, and some people say that's a cop-out answer, and that's 100% fair. But when you read as much as I do, you see, like, these teams and owners do a lot of Black people dirty. And it's not just Black people. Like, the business is business. But some of the things that have happened, I used to be a big Titans fan. And so, like, Steve McNair was there. Steve McNair is gone. And it's part of, like, you know, people say, like, the camaraderie around rooting for a single team. But, like, I was a big Steve McNair fan. And so Steve McNair was gone. Then it was Vince Young. Then Vince Young was gone. Then it was Chris Johnson. As Chris Johnson got his money and he was trash. And then Pac-Man Jones.
Oh, no, that's not even good.
But, bro, I was deep into the Titans for sure. Like, but then Jake Locker got drafted and he had season end. And then it got all over the place. And I was like, man, I don't know about all this. So I hung it up. But if someone was going to attach me to a team, then, like, Mahomes is my favorite player. The same way that Steph is my favorite player in the NBA.
That's how
so naturally I root for the Warriors. So
I'm just with LeBron, wherever LeBron is at. And I see that in the comments too. Somebody put 80, 41 and 3/4. I'm not gonna lie to you. This is just we're gonna get right back on track. But I promise you, this is my last thing. This is basketball. We're gonna talk about that tomorrow. AD is on demon time right now.
He's hooping right now. It don't make no difference. But he's hooping right now.
Like the other day, like and Giannis to me is the best player in the league right now. He outplayed him, guaranteed. Like, there's no argument that, like, he outplayed him on both ends of the floor. 41 and 3/4. This is the end we've been waiting on. I just can't wait for Barkley to eat. Shit.
Hey, man. That's all great. It don't really matter. It don't really matter. Like, it's great. I think some of the criticism was deserved in terms of his health, but I think you have to be gracious around an athlete's health, because it'd be one thing if an athlete is not in the gym, and we will never know how many hours some of these athletes are putting in the gym, some more than others, some less than others. However, when it comes to health, some of these people act like these guys are getting injured on purpose. Like, oh, you can't stay healthy. Like, okay, like, when Anthony Davis case, like, there was a lot of
street clothes on national, like that.
Yeah, like that's kind of crazy. It's crazy. Now, granted, like, when you are getting hit with the penny in the foot and then you're out for a couple games, like, you know, that's one thing. But you got to be gracious with some of these injuries because athletes put a lot of time into their bodies. So
yeah. Oh man, like, okay. I have a couple more games that we can get out of here before America's team does play 8-15. Everybody know if you want to team. Now look, you don't gotta like the team, man. But at the end of the day, 8-15 Colts, and if they lose this game, I am phone like This is must. These are just the games you just don't lose. So I'm gonna wear my jacket. It's Founders Day.
When did y'all play? What window did y'all play Kirk Cousins in? Was that the 1 o'clock window?
We played. It wasn't the late window.
I think it was a 1 p.m. window. Damn, y'all caught Kirk on a good Sunday too.
Oh,
I was about to say y'all catch Kirk on a good Sunday.
Yeah,
but the Eagles, I think the Eagles and the Cowboys, I think are going to be the NFC Championship game. Especially, I think if the 49ers, if Jimmy G didn't get hurt, I think the 49ers would have gave y'all some serious trouble.
I'm be real, like
there's some serious trouble.
Yeah.
Hey man, 49ers need to call Colin Kaepernick. Keep it a bean. The 49ers need to call Colin Kaepernick.
No,
they're good
with Brock Purdy, allegedly. They're good with Brock Purdy. It's after the deadline. They have there's no trade to make it. The deadline's passed.
I don't know who's out there in free agency, but they need to make some calls right now. You better call Romo or something.
Nah, we can't.
Call Romo right now.
No, with his back,
Fitzpatrick.
Oh, Ryan Fitzpatrick. I ain't gonna lie. Have you seen his Amazon deal money? He's good.
Hey man, Amazon is throwing bread to everybody.
I think
everybody.
No hits. I can get like about 8 to 10.
Look, if it's as somebody said, Ryan Fitzpatrick. If I'm the 49ers, I'm not calling Ryan Fitzpatrick because of the fact that when he steps in, you don't know what you're gonna get. He can give you 4 games and he look like a Hall of Famer, and that man will look like Baker Mayfield for 3 months after them 4 games. I think he got a contract with the Buffalo Bills at one point, and they signed him to a long-term deal, and then he stunk it up. Like, all due respect to Ryan Fitzpatrick, he know what he was.
That's the one when he got the franchise tag and
let's
not forget. Look,
49ers got to make some calls, man. They got to make some calls.
It's crazy, and this is like somewhat revisionist history, and people are like, "Oh, you can't really use that." That's CMC trade. Great player. You lost draft capital for that. I love what
they're all in. They're all in.
They
for the wrong reason. They did with the Rams. The 49ers and the Rams have the same strategy. The 49ers and the Rams have the exact same. They're basically saying fuck them picks.
Like you got to draft somebody though. Like you got to. Eventually,
I mean, now it's to the point where it's going to be a bad look. I mean, both their quarterbacks go out with an injury. There's if the 49ers win the championship this year, it's probably the greatest Super Bowl ever won. It's like when Ohio State lost their 2 starting quarterbacks. I can't remember their names off the top of my head. And then one
JT Barrett and
JT Barrett and somebody else.
Braxton Miller was a quarterback that year.
I don't know if Braxton Miller was playing quarterback at that point in time. I don't know. That was what, 2014, almost a decade ago.
It was crazy thing. What's the freaking guy's name that was third string?
Cardale Jones ended up starting.
Cardale Jones. Yep.
Yeah, but anyways, I think
I'm going out there right now. Cardale Jones. This ain't gonna happen. Like I don't see that.
The NFL is too complicated. I'm looking at the playoff conferences right now. I think in the NFC, it 100% is a 3-team race between the Eagles, Minnesota, and Dallas. And if there is a team on the bubble, I would argue that it's probably Seattle, because I think Seattle can get a lot better down the stretch. And Geno is playing really, 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 really well. And so when you have good quarterback play, it 100% keeps you in. And look, like I said, I'm a Brady hater, so they out of there. In the AFC, that's
the Cowboys play. If the Cowboys can't beat the Eagles in the regular season, they can't. I don't think win the division personally.
The Cowboys are taking care of the Bucks.
So the Cowboys play the Bucks,
and this is the only time I root for them, because I'm not a Cowboys guy either. They probably in my top 5 too. But I would root for the Cowboys if they play Brady, because it's time for him to retire. It's time for him to hang it up.
He has nothing to lose. Lost the marriage. What? You might as well keep playing.
Relax.
I mean, why at this point? That was the reason why.
I don't know. His contract is up next with Jimmy G. What's the name? Getting injured. It opens up the door for Brady to potentially go play in San Francisco. I don't got no sources. I'm just thinking there was a lot of reports out there as to where Tom Brady would go. That window is now open because they said, let's do Trey Lance. Well, if you get Tom Brady in that offense, man,
with that defense,
that's nasty. In the AFC, I think
people have it up there.
He said Chiefs, Bengals, Ravens, and Bills are too banged up. I think it depends on the matchup. I think obviously the Bengals have the Chiefs number. I think if the Chiefs and the Bills played in the playoffs right now, I think the Chiefs would beat them. But the Bengals, I think if the Bengals were to play the Ravens right now, the Ravens got the Bengals locked up. Like if anybody watched that game on Sunday Night Football when the Ravens and the Bengals played the first time, the only reason that it was not a blowout was because Lamar Jackson was missing a couple throws here and there.
Yep.
I'm not betting on Lamar to miss those throws in the playoffs again. Like he's had his playoff troubles, but it comes with the
territory.
I think it comes with the team that is built around him. Like they haven't given him a top 50 receiver in the NFL
or running back.
50. The running back I think is subjective because what even is a running back anymore? Like there's probably 10 running backs. If you start ranking running backs outside of top 10, you're wasting your time because like what's the point?
Yeah, what's the point?
Tennessee, I think, is out of there. They're just in the playoffs to be in the playoffs. Miami, I think they have to play a team in a shootout. Like if a team stopped, I think Miami could beat the Chiefs because of the fact that the Chiefs defense is bend don't break. And the Chiefs was playing against Tyreek Hill in practice, but we saw today he went through what eight or nine. It was I think it was seven, 8 or 9 catches, 150 yards on a TD.
Yep. And still got behind. And you guys have safeties, like 2 guys that are great players. PFF has rated. They have 2 of the top 4 highest rated safeties by Pro Football Focus. So they ain't just like they ain't got safeties back there.
For sure,
it's just going to burn. I don't care what. Like you have to run. What is it? What is Arrow team running the deep cover 2 now? Like it's like the bluff.
Yeah, the cover 2 where nothing gets past them. But like here's the problem with the Chiefs. The Chiefs know they can't play man to man. Like if you watch this Bengals game, they are in zone all day, and Burrow is eating them alive. What'd you say?
And Spagnuolo wants to blitz. So
but like it doesn't. Burrow he's developed. Like last year, I think he was a little nervous around his knee up until the Chiefs game. Yep. Like he wasn't really moving as much, and then he gained a lot of confidence when he started moving around a lot more. If you watch Burrow and Mahomes is my favorite player in the league. But the difference between today's game was the fact that Burrow was willing to run a bit more. Like Mahomes is scrambling so much, and
all the time
come with miraculous plays. But at the same time, just get the yards. Like there's not always going to be a spectacular play. Sometimes it's easier just to get the yards. And I think Burrow where Patrick Mahomes is always looking for the big play when he's scrambling around, Burrow will 100% take the 5 or 6. Yep. And in multiple cases, like Burrow shortened up the game because it could be 2nd and 13 or 2nd and 12. And then Burrow gets an 8-yard scramble. Now it's 3rd and 4. That's easy when you have Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, P. Ryan, Hayden Hurst, and Tyler Boyd out there. Like they didn't struggle on 3rd down at all today.
And the O-line thing, I kept telling people the O-line that's a group that gets better as the season goes on.
100%. If they stay healthy, they're like that. They're like that.
So
but I think go ahead.
No, I'm saying so O-lines just get better unless they get banged up. If they can just play, I don't care even if you have like less talented players. If they can just stay healthy and they can play together, cohesion will help any offensive line. Even if the 100%. Talent is there. And they've paid
the Chiefs issue does not come like the Chiefs issue does not come in reference to the Bengals. I think you're right. Before I get to the Chiefs, I think the Bengals, if they stay healthy, if everything goes right, like if they're winning like this, Jamar Chase steps back in, Joe Mixon goes out, and they beat the number 1 team in the AFC, they are still probably the team to beat. The Bills aren't fully healthy. Josh Allen has sputtered at different times. The Chiefs can't beat them. It's right now, like I think Joe Burrow is the only young AFC quarterback that Patrick Mahomes hasn't beaten yet. He's 0-3 versus him. He's beaten everybody else. And so the Chiefs' issue is the fact that they can't play man. Like they don't have. I think Snead is a very, very good corner, but he's playing in
McDuffie. McDuffie is a smaller, short.
He's a dog too. I think he's pretty good too. But like, it comes with territory when you're bringing in young corners. Because if you look at Sauce Gardner, who is easily a top 5 cornerback in the NFL today, he's a dog. He is a dog. But like, you're not getting Sauce Gardner when you're contending for a championship every single year, and when you have already given Mahomes the mega $450 million deal, now it becomes a sacrifice thing, and you have to build in the draft, and you have to hit on these cornerbacks because you don't have the money. They'd let Honey Badger go, brought Justin Reed in, and so far it's panned out.
He hasn't been that good either.
Continue to get beat in the same places every time, and it's in the corner position. Like you think about the divisional playoff game last year when Gabe Davis goes for 204 touchdowns. Like he's torching this secondary. It has nothing to do with the front 7. it's all on the outside in a nickel position. So until they figure that out and they can either get pressure or man up, they're in trouble. They're in trouble versus any team. Versus any team.
The Bengals team really gives them problems, like you said, because at the end of the day, the Bengals have three guys that are probably the best receiver on the Kansas City Chiefs right
Who
now.
got open? No, they are the best receiver on the. It's not a question.
Like,
You put like Patrick Mahomes does not have a number one receiver right now, which has helped him in some ways. But when you don't have a guy, and I think like Travis Kelce the best tight end in football right now.
yes,
However, I think my biggest critique on Travis Kelce is sometimes he has dumb plays. Like there are some drops that he has randomly where it's like you drop that, and then like today's fumble, the Chiefs would have probably iced that game had does he not fumble that game,
yeah,
or fumble that ball. So America's team is the Patriots. Unfortunately,
oh my
Cowboys.
God,
The
what
Cowboys
are
are
we
not
doing
as
here? What are we doing?
I'm just saying. The America's team is the Patriots.
I just can't. It's someone
But
that knows the value of a team. I can't believe you would say that.
look, man, the Patriots went from being an irrelevant NFL franchise, as much an irrelevant NFL franchise, to 6 Super Bowls in 20 years, and I think they are the third or fourth most valuable. Hey, man, call Cam. That's a great. That's
They
a
said Cam's is
call Cam.
49ers.
Call Cam to the. Hey, man, Cam done said so much crazy shit the past couple of years. Ain't
He's
nobody
done.
giving him a call no time soon. He
I'm
on
not
the JR. He
gonna
on
lie,
the J.R. Smith and Amon Shumpert treatment
yeah.
right now. Like they J.R. Smith and Amon Shumpert are good enough to play in the NBA, but they ain't getting no
No,
calls for
Amon's
whatever reason.
acting. JR's in school, and Cam has a podcast. So they like
Cam ain't getting no call. They need
I
to.
don't
They
think he
need.
get the call. And the
He
way
ain't getting no call.
Cam has been dealt a bad hand the last couple of times. We know this, but it's not like he's even shown flashes. To be honest, like
No, I think he stepped into. I mean,
bad
look, the
situations.
last straw. The last straw was when he was in New England. It was never. And then like he went to go play for the Panthers, which was cool. It was a nice homecoming story. But like they weren't. They didn't win, and the homecoming story lasted like 2 weeks. So
Jesus Christ, it was ugly.
it's. I don't know. I don't know what the 49ers do from here, but they got to figure it out because when they go to Seattle, like the defense can only. There's Carolina dealt with this for many years, where they had a really good defense, but the offense couldn't score. And so when the defense is constantly on the field, you get tired. They end up giving up points, which is going to happen in San Francisco if they don't get quarterback play. And obviously, we're all assuming that this kid can't play, but I'm not betting on no third stringer stepping in and leading them to the playoffs.
Crap, no.
Now, I think they'll make it. But like playoff football is different. It's just different.
Yeah. Yeah, well, again, Randall, I appreciate you for coming on the live stream. Again, you know, the Real America's team is about to play. I do have to get ready. But yeah, I want you to tell people like where to find your work and everything so you can promote your stuff.
Sure. On Twitter, I am Randall. It's RANDALI, but it should pop up after that. And then I think it's Randall Williams. It's my name. And then on Instagram, it's Randall C. Williams. It's 2 A's and 2 L's in my first name. No other way to spell it, and every other way is wrong. But yeah, and if you want to read my work, you can find me at boardroom.tv, which is Kevin Durant and Rich Kleiman's media platform. I'll probably write something this week about Deion and Coach Prime and everything like that. So, watch how things develop over the next couple of weeks. What he hasn't been able to say much. Like I don't think people have given him a chance to speak, and so I think he'll be very, very precise with his words. And ultimately, his time in Jackson State will be remembered in a positive manner, but a positive time that was cut short. So in the NFL, there's a lot of season left to play. If I had to pick the NFC Championship, I'd say Cowboys, Eagles. And the AFC Championship, I have no idea. But if I had to bet on it,
Chiefs, somebody else.
I'd probably say Chiefs, Bengals again. Because Joe Burrow, I mean, he cold. He cold. I can't hate. He is cold.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, definitely.
Appreciate you for having me.
Nah, of course. Like, and again, I'm gonna have another live stream tomorrow at probably at the same time. We got some other special guests coming on. Again, you all subscribe. Okay, definitely no commanders are in the pocket. We're definitely not talking about that. Anyway, like again, subscribe, like, share. Again, I appreciate you all for coming in. We're gonna have another live stream tomorrow.